one should take the opportunity and speak with the young ladies that started Black Lives Movement. There's some
Yeah.
very powerful young ladies,
Yes.
very well spoken, very articulate, very aware of the issues. These are not ne'er do wells and hellraisers. These are very educated and concerned young ladies that got this movement started. They're not communists. They're not advocating the overthrow of the government. They're saying there's some things we need to talk about that that are not going well for everyone. And so it's going to take a long time before people on on the opposing sides of the issues feel comfortable enough to come to the table and just say, talk to us. What's the issue? What do you think we need to do? How can we work through this together? Because I think that's what they're ultimately trying to do. Because again, I in no way, shape, or form condone any group that's protesting to do like we saw with those neo-Nazi guys. You know, you're walking through the streets with torches and spouting all kinds of hateful rhetoric. I don't care if Black Lives Matter were doing those types of things. I wouldn't
It would be
support them
shut
either.
down.
Oh,
Yeah,
I would
no
think I'd
way.
say that is absolutely
Gotta
unacceptable.
go.
That is not the American way, but they're not doing that. And there are lots of other groups that are representing interests of Asian Americans and
Hmm.
Filipinos and so forth that are bringing attention to the issues, and they're doing it in a way that is respectful, is constitutional, and hopefully it will be successful. Because again, if if as the result of your protests, now you have better opportunities to get housing, to get employment, to educate your family, that's a win for everybody. It's not just only black people that will benefit from that. Everyone wins. And so I'm just hoping that people will be able to see that in the future, that it's not just going to benefit one group of people. It,
Well,
it benefits everyone.
well, I think that it's already, it's just like we said before with the Collarden with the Collarden with the
Who's that?
Kaepernick
What was that name, Ambie?
the Kaepernick protest. Whenever somebody comes out with a big movement, people are automatically gonna pick one thing out of it and spin it. And what
Yes,
did
they
they
are.
do? All lives matter. Now, duh, all lives matter. Of course, all lives matter. Your life, my life, black, white, brown, Asian, Hispanic, Indian, Norwegian, whatever you are. Of course, all lives matter. Do you really think that Black Lives Matter is a group that is saying only Black Lives Matter? No. It's that is the point. It's called Black Lives Matter because evidently in this country they don't act like we do. People, so they come out with All Lives Matter, they come out with Blue Lives Matter. The difference between Blue Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, and Black Lives Matter is this. When you say Blue Lives Matter, you say, duh, of course Blue Lives Matter. Because regardless of the bad seeds that are on television, we need cops. Cops, they're all we see on TV are the bad ones. But guess what? My dad was a cop and I've seen tons of good ones. I've seen the ones that pick me up from school. I've seen the ones at National Night Out. I've seen the ones that play ball with kids in the street. And those are most cops. The ones that we see on TV are bad apples. So of course Blue Lives Matter. Of course all lives matter. But the difference is when you get to Black Lives Matter, you can't say of course. You cannot have that general reaction of course Black Lives Matter. No, we can't say that because in history from when we were brought here to now, we have been oppressed. It's never been about, oh, we're the only people who matter. Everybody pay attention to us. The movement is called that because it just seems like in America, we have to remind everybody that we do matter because whether the police are pulling us over and killing us for no reason, or people are burning crosses in front of our houses, or people won't let us sit on the same benches as them or go to the same school as them, something is getting lost in translation. Some wires are not crossing. Granted, yes, we've made lots of progress over these last years, but getting back to the point that you were making earlier, to the make America great again, we have made all this progress. Despite Black Lives Matter, we've made all this progress to move forward with the diversity of this country. So going back to the patriotism and why the America Great Again thing is so interesting is it does raise that question. What does that even mean? Because up until now, probably within the last couple of decades have been the freest and the best Black people have lived in this country, and we still have a long way to go. So what does that even mean? What does that even mean? And I really want to hear what Money Marv has to say about what we've discussed so far.
Yeah, I would say again, kind of just going back to some of the things that we've talked about on tonight's episode and just some of the things I heard you guys talk about previously, when a lot of the issues, at least that I see that we're facing right now, today, is the fact that we've reached a point within our country's history where we have like a growing population of people of color. They're becoming more educated. They're becoming more affluent, having better jobs, having better accessibility to education, to a lot of different things. And so we have this minute population. I'm not going to say all Caucasian people, but there's a certain segment that fears they're going to lose their sense of power. They fear they're losing the authority that they had for all these number of the years, this entire time that they've always had that competitive edge over us just naturally. So I think a lot of the things that we're doing, between the president making the comments that he did regarding people who are kind of protesting more in a respectful manner, not necessarily displaying any hatred, compared to those with torches and everything like that, I think we've reached the point where collectively we need to say, like, this is America.
Right.
Like, America can no longer be defined as traditional conventionalism, saying, okay, an American should be a white male. He has X, Y, and Z. Like, America needs to be defined as a diverse country. That's a reason that a lot of the immigrants initially came here. That's a lot of the things that make our country so competitive, so wonderful. Just everything about us is the fact that we are so diverse. We are a melting pot. So when it comes to patriotism, a lot of the people who are making these comments, I feel like they're only saying that because they're trying to further say this should be the brand of patriotism. If your patriotism isn't the same as mine, don't talk to me.
Right.
Interesting perspectives. Well, I think that while the Black Lives Matter is bringing issues to the forefront, as you've heard me say on a couple of segments, particularly when we were talking about law enforcement, and that's what I did for a few minutes. I also hope that the focus will also look at how do we repair things internally. And I don't want to get too far off the patriotism discussion, but since we went there, as you bring the issues to the forefront externally, that we will also work on the internal issues as well, because there are quite a few. Some of them are created by some external forces, no doubt. But there are other things that we need to work on in the community so that collectively we're getting our house in order from the inside as we deal with the issues from the outside. But great point, Money Marvin, and I think you hit on some interesting points. And Beezy, as always, you bring some interesting perspectives from the millennial generation. And but certainly I think it's important to remember that what has made America great is its diversity. And there have been thousands of people who have come across the waters or come across the border, both north and south, who have just done some incredible things in our country. They've died for our country. They've served in law enforcement. They're teachers. They're business people. They've just covered the gamut of things that make this country amazing. And so it just doesn't do us any good when we're not working together, because it just clouds the issues of things that we need to do to continue to make this country move forward. Making it great again has different connotations to different people. to certain folks when you say make it great again, it's like, well, wait a minute. I came from a situation where I couldn't even drink at a water fountain. My water fountain was colored.
Right.
Or I was playing in my yard and my grandmother said we have to go because we're Japanese and they're putting us in a camp. That wasn't a great time for me. That wasn't a great time for me when I was looking at my uncle hanging from a tree because he happened to walk on the wrong side of the street at a certain time. That wasn't great for me. And so we have to be very sensitive to the experiences that people have had in the country as we work towards really making this the place to be. Now, there are a lot of places that we could be, and I would rather not be anywhere but in the United States. The United States, with the challenges that we have, is an amazing place to be.
America.
But it can certainly be like anything. It can certainly use some improvements on certain things, but it's up to all of us to be committed to making those improvements, and that's how you make America great. You take that diversity and you work on it, and you have people pulling together with all their talents and cultures and beliefs and religions and all these things, and you move the country in the right direction. I think that's the way, as idealistic as it sounds, I think that's the way to make it happen. And, of course, we can't leave without saying hi to Miss Connie, who always makes sure that she sends us comments and wishes us well. We thank you for your comments. And, of course, we thank Sonny Ezon, again, an amazing, amazing producer that has done some incredible work around the country in terms of documentaries that have featured Americans from every persuasion. And so we just have to thank him for calling in as well. He always brings some interesting perspectives and some amazing knowledge of things that he has researched over the decades. But as you know, when you look at immigrants from certain countries, Black Lives Matter, the NFL, and the media, these are just some of the many examples of organizations and citizens who have had their patriotism challenged. And, we should never get to the point where just because I don't believe that your perspective is different from mine, that automatically makes me un-American, or that automatically subjects me to having my patriotism challenged. The irony is that, I hear, conservatives talk about defending the Constitution and America as the foundation as our nation. But yet we're ignoring the historical fact that immigrants have fought for and continue to give their lives in the military. The athletes are protesting the mistreatment of all Americans. And Black Lives Matter just doesn't advocate criminality, but it seeks equal treatment of our citizens. It seeks opportunities for education, housing, and improvements. Those are issues that everyone cares about. I bet you if you walked right now in downtown Little Rock, Arkansas, or Tupelo, Mississippi, and said, would you like an opportunity for a better education for your children and the opportunity for a nice domicile for your family? No one would say no. And just like if you walked into the middle of West Baltimore or Watts or East LA and said, would you like the opportunity for a better way for your family, a better education, a nice home, you get the same response. The same response. So, there are more issues that we all agree upon that are more important than trying to come up with some type of standard or some type of barometer of what makes you more of a patriot than someone else. But again, these are some of the very principles that led to the founding of our great nation. Equality, freedom of speech, freedom from searches, freedom to own a business, the ability to walk down the street and be safe. Those are American values. And I think history has proven, and history would certainly say, yes, these are the things that make America great. And so that's all the time we have. But as always, it's been a pleasure serving you Top Shelf Conversation. So until the next time, I'm the Chief.
I'm Ambeezy.
And I'm Money Marv.
And always, it's been a pleasure giving it to you straight, no chaser. Bye.